I'm welcome to the Franklin County Community School Corporation Board of Trustees meeting. If I could get you to stand, please recite the Pledge of Allegiance and then observe a moment of silence, and also remember today is Veterans Day, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Kicking things off will be the celebrations, Mr. Gehring.
Yes, good evening to the members of the board, and thank you again for the opportunity to bring forth some celebrations to you. I want to begin by bringing Miss Lynn Edwards up to the front. Miss Lynn, join me. Miss Lynn Edwards is November's support staff of the month. You want to sit right next to me? Yeah, absolutely.
Nice try.
She said, no, I don't, but you're going to. Superintendent Dustin Gehring is pleased to announce Mrs. Lynn Edwards has been selected as November's support staff of the month. Lynn is the controlled access / attendance clerk and academic team coach at Franklin County Middle School. Mrs. Edwards has been a dedicated employee for 20 years, 18 and a half as the director of transportation, and then a year and a half in her current position. Lynn was nominated for this honor by a staff member. When asked why Ms. Edwards should be considered for this recognition, he responded, "Mrs. Edwards amazes me. Her job is to maintain a safe, controlled entry in our building, as well as make sure our daily attendance is accurate. I believe she does these two things extremely well." Mrs. Edwards also sponsors our academic team here at FCMS, but my favorite reason for bragging on Mrs. Edwards is how much effort she puts into making our school a fun place for our students and staff. For example, she voluntarily has load contests for the entire student body. These contests seem to come around not just the holidays, but so many other occasions when our school is focused on making our community a better place. It might be a trivia question or a brain teaser challenge, and most recently, a pumpkin decorating contest that became very popular. I saw those; they were absolutely amazing.
That was Mrs. Noah's doing for the contest part.
Oh, understood. Okay, and you and you won. Congratulations to you. All right, very good. No bragging here, right? No.
Well, I didn't want to slight Mrs. Noah.
Understood. Credit where credit's due, including
That's
the fact
right.
that you won the whole thing.
Yeah.
Very good. Not to mention, students who win these little contests receive a very gracious prize that anyone would love to have. I've seen how excited students get when they hear their name called as the winner of one of her contests. And of course, you can hear the loud cheers from the classroom full of students that possess the lucky winner. When our building has a spirit week where we dress up for different themes, Mrs. Edward never misses the opportunity to join right in with students and staff and can be seen wearing an amazing costume herself. Wow, I could go on and on. For a person who is confined to a small little office, and that is very true, you are confined in there. Okay, we keep you there. No, I'm teasing. Our Mrs. Edwards cannot be topped. She simply makes our school a more enjoyable place to be on a regular basis, and her kindness makes her a beautiful person. And of course, she's a huge Red fan, like me. In her free time, Lynn enjoys reading, sewing, time with family, and watching the Reds. When asked what the best part of her job is, Mrs. Edwards responded, "I really enjoy connecting with students. I try to form positive relationships with students, and I really enjoy getting to know and relate to each one as an individual. I just really love being around all the kids." Of course, we know the purpose of the Support Staff of the Month is to recognize outstanding FCCSC support staff who demonstrate dedication to their job, and we encourage anyone to nominate next month's winner. With that being said, how about a big round of applause for Miss Lynn Edwards. This will be for you, okay? This is also going to be for you. A little mug there for you. But before we get to that, I want to have you take a lap and then meet me right back here. Go ahead.
Okay. I won't run.
No running.
Thank you. Take care.
It's so good to see
See you too.
you. I'll be back. I haven't seen him so long.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
These two too.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mrs. Edwards, who do you have with you today?
My husband, Kurt. My daughter was coming and she got sick, so.
Well, thank you, and we're glad you let us borrow her every single day. Thank you for that, of course. One more time, Ms. Lynn Edwards. At this time, I invite Ms. Amanda Sells up to the podium as well. Come on up. Hi. Superintendent, Mr. Dustin Gehring, is honored to announce that Ms. Amanda Sells has been selected as November Educator of the Month. Mrs. Amanda Sells is a special education teacher at Brookville Elementary, where she has spent her entire teaching career at FCCSC, educating students at Mount Carmel for 4 years and Brookville for 9. Amanda earned her bachelor degree in elementary education from Ball State in 2009, her special education licensure from IU East in 2013, and will graduate in December with her master's in literacy from Ball State University. Amanda was nominated for this honor by a parent. When asked why Mrs. Sells should be considered for this recognition, she responded, "She is amazing with my son, who is autistic, and he loves her." Outside of the classroom, Amanda loves watching her older son play hockey and play outside with her younger son. She also finds enjoyment in going to concerts, traveling, and reading. When asked what she loves most about her job, Mrs. Sells responded, "One of my favorite parts of my job is that I often get to work with students for multiple years in a row. I love looking back on the progress they have made from the beginning and see how far they've come." Of course, we know the purpose of the Educator of the Month program is to recognize outstanding FCCSC educators, and we encourage anyone to nominate our next month's winner. This is going to be for you when you come back and see me. This is also going to be for you, and then, of course, when you come back and see me, we have a nice little cup for you. Okay. Before we get to that, I'm going to give it a round of applause at 10 lap. Miss Amanda Sells.
Don't look old enough. Sorry.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Mrs. Sells, who do you have with you?
My husband Greg, my sons Oakland and Rentley.
Thank you all for coming, of course. One more time for Miss Sells. Oh, and what we'll do right now, we'll have our teams come up for our picture moment. So Lynn and Amanda, if you want to make your way up, and then we'll take individual shots, and then we'll also take our group shots, so everybody will be in the picture. Come on up. You got me, and then you got her. Take one at a time. So, yep, there you go. That one's for me. There. All right, switch. Okay. Perfect. You want to do it together for one? Okay. We'll bring up groups. Okay. Ms. Edwards, which one for your, put on that? Yeah. You guys have not signed up for a picture. Here we go. Big smiles.
Thank you.
All right, Emily. There we go, very nice. Big smiles for me.
Look, everybody's, hey, the last thing, let's try one more.
One more time for these two. All right, you're welcome. welcome to stay, but you're also okay to go at this point. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. Okay, up next is the consent agenda items. We have minutes, expenditures, and resignations. Was there any discussion? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Kevin, seconded, please.
Second.
Jessica, all in favor? 5-0. Next up are personnel and retirements. Any discussion? Do we have any?
We do.
Well, okay. No discussion? Do I have a motion? Katie, second. Beth, all in favor? 5-0. Next are the new hires.
Yes, sir. So superintendent recommends the following. JV Allen Key Montaleo, practice that one. Cafeteria over here at the high school. Barbara Stanger, cafeteria at the high school. Stacy Reilly, paraprofessional at the high school.
Is there any discussion? Do we have a motion? Kevin and Beth. All in favor? 5-0. Next up is personnel extracurricular.
Yes, sir. Superintendent recommends the following at Mount Carmel. We have Ron Loskamp, 6th grade boys basketball coach. FCMS, Austin Miller, head county wrestling coach. Lyndon Sizemore, assistant wrestling coach. Alan Apsley, volunteer assistant wrestling coach. Lauren Smith, drama and choreography sponsor. At the high school, we have the following. Adam Kelly Jr., weight room A and B supervisor. Zach Frank, weight room C and D supervisor. Lyndon Sizemore, JV assistant wrestling coach. Matt Perryberg, head varsity softball coach. Philip Miller, varsity assistant softball coach. Ryan Bischoff, JV assistant softball coach. Crystal Krudip, freshman softball coach. Kelly Feller, volunteer softball coach. Ryan Kane, volunteer softball coach. Leslie Perryberg, I apologize, volunteer softball coach. She'll be helping out with social media for the softball team. Melissa Graff, volunteer softball coach. Jeremy Kuntz, head varsity baseball coach. Stone Laughlin, varsity assistant baseball coach. Craig Hurdle, JV assistant baseball coach. Dylan Huber, head boys golf coach. Luke Hall, volunteer golf coach. Brandon Cowan, volunteer golf coach. Kelly Middendorf, head cheer coach for the remainder of the season. She stepped up due to a resignation.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, softball coaches, we've got a lot of volunteer, and you said Leslie was gonna take care of the media. We must remember that all these coaches are a extension of the high school, and so I'm not complaining or not making anything big about it, but I'm just saying that I think, we have to keep that in mind when we agree for volunteer coaches, that they are an extension of the high school.
Any other comments?
The county wrestling, is that because it includes Laurel and Mount Carmel, or
It's that 6th grade team.
is it, but that's not separate from the middle school team, it's all inclusive, or?
It is separate.
It is.
And they're welcome to come over, but it's the 6th grade.
It's just the 6th grade?
Mhm,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Any other discussion? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the
Kevin
ECA
makes the
recommendations.
motion. Seconded.
I'll second.
Jessica, all in favor? 5-0. Next up will be grants and donations.
Franklin County High School is asking permission to accept a grant in the amount of $1,000 from the Franklin County Community Foundation to help with the cost of training Mr. Zach Frank's dog Goose. We're looking, of course, for the training that's necessary for them to become a therapy or a campus dog.
Discussion? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the grant.
Kevin? And Jessica. All in favor? 5-0. Next up are field trips.
Justin Riley, Athletic Director, is requesting permission to attend a holiday tournament from 12/27 to 12/28 for the boys varsity basketball team.
Discussion. Do I have a motion? Katie? Seconded Beth. All in favor? 5-0. Financial reports are up next.
The education fund balance as of October 31st, 2024 was $6,261,286.27. A year ago, this balance was $4,214,889.17. The operations fund balance as of October 31st was $3,257,619.80. A year ago, this balance was $223,713.06. The rainy day fund balance has stayed the same at $1,068,712.84. The investment interest earned year-to-date as of October 31st was $536,156.84. This is compared to $318,070.79 a year ago. Again, there are two things I just want to remind the board about. One is that the operations fund balance still reflects the closing of the bond, the reimbursed bond, that will be moved to the rainy day before the end of the calendar year. And as well as the investment interest earned year to date does go into the education fund, but also we will start to see a decline as our bond projects have ended and we've paid off a very large, like the remaining balance of the projects. So we will see that start to dwindle down because those funds have been depleted due to the projects ending.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, Kendra, I think we talked about this. Was it possible to invest the rainy day fund? And do we? And is there any interest? Do we gain any interest off of that?
Yeah, so that is currently in the Trust Indiana as part of just our total financial picture. Some of that money is there. I do also want to let the board know I am keeping a close eye on the Trust Indiana, and it did drop just a hair. I mean, like a 0.02% on the daily. I think it was due to just the election uncertainty. It's came right back up. There's no issues there. I just want to let the board know that I have watched that, and I was keeping an eye on it, but I don't see any concern there. But yes, the rainy day is invested in that Trust Indiana, earning about a 5%.
Okay, so that comes back as a lump sum with the rest of it.
Yes, it
correct?
does. Yep.
Okay.
Kendra, I don't know if this is something you've spotted or if I'm understanding talking about the Trust Indiana account. I think I am, but as the Fed is cutting rates, like they've cut last week 0.25%, last week, are you expecting that interest to fall in line and also
So
decline?
I'm keeping a close eye on it, and I'm looking. I've been in touch with our rep from Trust Indiana, and because of the investments that it's in, I do see it being a very slow moving, if any, but I am keeping an eye on it. And so if there is any activity, we can just bring that money right back same day if we start to see a decline that is ongoing. But as of right now, they're not really concerned about it dropping much with the Fed's, with the interest rate changes. So I will keep the board up to date on that, though.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kendra.
Any other discussion? If not, we'll move on to the cafeteria report.
The cafeteria fund balance as of October 31st was $430,902.28. This is compared to $485,676.91 a year ago. And the latchkey fund balance as of October 31st was $16,676.74. This is compared to $14,299.77 a year ago. Again, just a comment on both of those. The cafeteria, she has gone through her audit and has gone through her annual financial and is starting a spend down plan because the balances are a little high. So she's kind of working through that, and we'll start to see maybe some big movement in that area, and we'll keep the board up to date. But the latchkey fund also, I have instructed each school that has latchkey to spend money on supplies for the students. So we've started to see those orders come through, and they are reinvesting that money into supplies for the students that attend latchkey.
Is there any discussion? Okay, if not, we'll move on to statements from the public employees. We have no signups. The next thing would be old business. We have none. New business, we have none. Oh, nope, we do. We have board policies.
The board will notice that there are a series of new policies listed as the fall update from Neola. Those are all at your disposal there. Just so as you're reading through, a lot of it is updating to law that we already understand is passed. Nothing that was shocking to me overall, except for what was expected for our policy to match that. But if you have questions along the way, I'm always available by phone call or reach out to any of those that will come back in December for approval.
Okay, so these changes that we're making are legislative changes?
Many of them are. Some of them are language around just simple pronoun usage in the language itself. Some of them are around just kind of catching things up. Yeah.
So you say catching things up, so catching things up to our corporation,
And
to what we are doing.
And the law, yes.
Yeah, it's
And
housekeeping, basically.
To be compliant with the law changes.
I didn't see anything as we went through it together, and I've reviewed it again. I don't think you'll find anything that would be ground shaking, other than things that you already know was coming along the way. But again, ask questions. Any questions you have, happy to answer. But you're seeing things around financial controls. You're seeing things around nepotism. You're seeing things around board operations that would be consistent with how we operate already. There's language in there around can the board employ someone that they're related to. Of course, and there's rules how that would proceed. It lays that out as well. There's also some things in there around expected updates, like literally there's a whole portion of it around making words plural versus singular in the area of weapons and things of that nature. Just those small cleanups along the way. But I welcome any calls that you have.
And you said the deadline on these changes would be when?
I'm going to come back in December for approval.
Okay.
Any other questions? This is a discussion only item. Okay, please review these for the next board meeting. Next up is administrative substitute rates.
So myself, Ms. New, and Mrs. Franks are recommending the proposed daily rates for administrative substitutes. The rates are established as per building level. One of the things that we experienced was we don't have a standard rate of how to reimburse or to compensate for those who jump into administrative positions for a short term. And so rather than trying to make this up every single time, we want to establish some rates which are in the packet there to kind of know where we came from and how that all came about. Kendra, anything to add on that?
No, just note that they are different per building level, just because of class of the building or the size of the buildings that they'll be operating. The rates do vary building wise.
And this is related directly to a couple of our employees that stepped up big time for us as we had one of our administrators go out on a bit of medical leave. And we have two of our employees step into that space. Kelly and Eric have done a fantastic job helping to fill in the gap at the middle school level when we needed it. They kind of split the time. But when we started looking at like, okay, how do we make sure that we take care of these folks? We didn't want to guess, right? We wanted to come back to something that's repeatable over time, and that's a system that we can easily point to and say, this is fair, this is consistent, and this is how we want to operate. And so you'll see that in the packet. But the need came from the gap that they filled, but also the fact that we didn't have one. So I wanted to make sure that we have one as we go forward.
Just a simple question here. Who gets this up? Is it all on computer now?
So for teaching positions, yes, there's alignment there. For this, of course, was person-to-person conversation.
Right. And if you hire a person in on a particular, and then she gets there, and you have to change that, her pay will change, or will she get that pay that she's been promised that morning, or, because that happens.
I understand. So, so just to kind of like make that really tangible, so a substitute shows up, they're aligned to a certain position, and all of a sudden we're like, actually, we don't need that teaching position,
Right.
but we need a classified position. So that is incredibly rare and shouldn't happen, but when it does, we would always have that conversation with them. The position that they fill for the day is how they're paid. So as they step in to be a teacher for the day, and we always have another spot for a teacher.
Right.
Don't get the wrong idea. We're not sliding people over because we need them there. But during their day, they may do some things along the way that would typically be in a classified position, but because they're with us, we can use them, but they will be paid according to the certified sub rate. In an extremely rare case, a lot of things had to go wrong for us to get to that point. We will always want to pay people for the job that they do, but we also want to make sure we take care of people.
Right.
Kendra,
Mhm.
what's the inside personnel?
Yeah,
rate?
so we,
It's
Mr.
half,
Gehring and I,
but-
yes, so we talked about, it would be if a, like a teacher filled this position, or one of our employees currently filled this position, and in the example of a teacher filling that, they would also be receiving their normal teacher compensation. So we thought about it, and as they would receive their teacher contract compensation, on top of that, they would also receive half of the administrative sub rate, which is, so in addition, so they would receive both.
So if we move somebody internally up, they're gonna get the half rate, and if you bring somebody in for a longer term, it's the daily rate.
Yes, yep.
Any other discussion? Can we get a motion, please? Katie? A second?
I'll second.
Kevin? All in favor? 5-0. Next up is other, and we have none. Now the superintendent's report.
Just a couple of items for the board. First and foremost, I want to say welcome and to our newest board members. Mr. Simonson's with us in the audience, and we say welcome to you. And Mr. Burris will be joining as soon as he possibly can as well to be around the board business. I'm excited to work with both of them, and I'm thankful for the process to get them here, and I look forward to what happens next with them as well. Of course, we never want to lose anyone, but obviously that's part of this process as we go forward. Secondly, I want to just make sure the board is aware that as of this past Wednesday, all of our certified staff have been trained in ALICE across the board. And so now we start to tackle all the other positions as often as we can, pulling groups aside and getting everyone on board. So what that really means is that all of our administrators are certified trainers, and all of our teachers have now had the training that says, here's how we respond to an active situation. And so that was one of my biggest initiatives coming to the door, and making sure that our buildings are as safe as possible. And this makes us one step closer to safe every single day, having more and more staff trained in this way of thinking. And of course, the conversation never ends, right? I never say the words, we are now safe. I always say the words, we're one step closer to safe. We're always chasing that next great thing. And so we are not done, but I wanted to kind of get you in the loop, like that has been completed, and now we'll continue taking that initiative on. I had an opportunity to see some amazing Halloween parades in our elementary schools. And it's been a long time since I've seen Halloween parades where students got to dress up. At my previous district, we kind of moved away from that, and for a number of years we just had that as a part of the day. And it was a lot of fun. So many kids put a ton of effort into playing their part. And I think it builds great culture in the buildings. I even saw a lot of staff taking advantage of that opportunity to get dressed up. I did take a couple pictures, and I had to show my family, like, you won't believe this, and look at this costume. Look how much they worked. And so I know that takes a lot of effort for everyone, but it builds great culture. And it also, sometimes for some kids, this is the one chance they get to do some trick-or-treating or something like that. And so it's nice to see that come along. Today, I had a chance to see a couple of our Veteran Day activities, and I was absolutely blown away by the effort and the performance. Honestly, our students performed incredibly well, and I know it's probably not easy to understand because if you watch it happen, it's always like, well, this is what we do. But when you come from the outside and you see that number of students learn that many songs in that little bit of a period, that's a pretty incredible amount of work. And so big shout out to everyone involved in that. We had kids at the microphone. They had great confidence up there. We had speakers. We had singers. We had a video that got played out. We had the band perform for the first time. And they sounded wonderful as well. They got work to do for sure. Our sixth grade band's got a little work to do, but they got it. I can't wait to see what happens next. But it was just wonderful, and more than anything, I was blown away by how well our students behaved for an hour and a half in the bleachers. An hour and a half presentation, which this is due. There's nothing wrong with that. But I looked at our students and said, "Wow, that is impressive." That they have been, and they were absolutely incredible. I didn't get a chance to go everywhere because a lot of them kind of double up, but I can't wait to see what happens next year as I kind of make my way around. Shannon also had a chance to see a few as well. Any other reflections before I move on from
They were
you?
great. I have never been to any besides Laurel. So I went to BES in the middle school, and they were very impressive. It's a different environment being in town. The kids worked really hard.
And I do want to take a moment and just officially just say thank you to our veterans. It is an incredible sacrifice to say yes to that line of duty, not knowing what that could mean. And I also, my father was a veteran, and I have members of my family, particularly my nephew, that are veterans as well. And not that I understand, but I can get a concept of what it feels like to have a veteran in your family and think about that and all the things that could or happen. So I want to also take a moment to say thank you to our families of those veterans. They also sacrifice. They also say yes ultimately, and they walk that path. And I don't think we give them enough credit or due. But thank you to all of our veterans for their service. One last piece here. The TIF essentially has passed the next step, and if you weren't a part of that or didn't see it online, one of the call-outs from the bench was for the commission to reach out with language that is copacetic to the board and to the superintendent around what we're looking for. And so I had a great chance to speak directly about what some of those things are and any concerns I had around that and the next steps. I have great confidence that we're going to see the 15%. I take people at their word, and there was a word that was given that would happen, but of course the language matters because not all of us will be here forever, right? And so we want to ensure that this thing goes forward. I want to thank Sarah for her representation, as always, and keeping us in the loop, and even sometimes feeding us speaking notes and even little signs when we show up. She's always prepared for us to be out there representing to the best degree that we can. No one likes the idea of a TIF from a school setting. No one does. But I will also say that if that's the only way to develop, I get it and I understand. And so I look for two things. One, the 15% as committed. And then secondly, also in the future with each of these projects to make them as time-bound as possible. There is nothing worse than thinking this 20 years and then the next 20 years and then you just kind of say, I guess we'll just never get anything. And so I do look forward to see how that language plays out and the requests that I've had on behalf of the schools to make those things as time-bound as possible and short as possible. Now, will I win? I don't know, but I can ask. I can always ask. That's my update, sir.
Oh, and also the redevelopment committee and the board are supposed to work together on language for this.
Yep.
So
And I'll be bringing that
prepared
language
to
and sharing it
participate.
with you along the way.
Yep. Next up is legislative updates. Kevin, you have anything for us?
No updates. Four of us will be attending the regional fall meeting next Wednesday, and I'm sure we will hear all about their expected agenda for the spring session.
Okay, do we have any future agenda requests?
Yes, I do. Don't know what we want to do with it. It's something that, every building I've been to, it's an issue. And it's our printers.
Okay.
Don't know what we're gonna have left with the bond, with the Chromebooks and the, buses. But this is a consideration that we really need to look at. They are old. Some of them can't be fixed. They've run out of parts. I mean, they just can't get the parts anymore.
Okay.
So then what happens is the teachers go in and use the office, and that doesn't go over too well. So that is something that every building needs to have looked at.
So what I'll do is, because we are under contract with a company that does, is
Right.
the maintenance, and so these are not actually the machines that we
Right.
purchase, but rather as a part of our contract, they come in. But what I will do is the following. One, ensure that we have updated copy of that for the board, so you can kind of see what does that contract look like, and also do some data seeking around how often are they breaking down, and for how long are they broke down. I think it's a very fair request, because there is nothing more frustrating when you have a short period of time to go make some copies, you go to do it, and of course, this is the time that the staplers don't work. I understand that 100%.
Well, it's not even the staplers, it just won't even run.
Right, sure. So I will do some data seeking and come back to the board with that and get you an update.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other requests? If not, we go to recognition acknowledgements. Do we have any?
Nothing today.
I would like to convey our condolences to Katie's, she had lost her father-in-law over break, and I would like to convey that. If not, we will be adjourned. Our next board meeting will be 7 o'clock Monday, December 9th, right here. Thank you, everyone, for attending.